let's talk about the Denon Lectern Active. I bought this, I've only used it once at an event, but I bought this a couple months ago because we got a call to do a groundbreaking at a school. And my original thought was I was just going to use the global truss that we have and get the lectern top for it. But in the end, that would have been the easy way to go. It would have been the cheaper route to go because we don't do a whole lot of events that require a lectern. But corporate audio is something I've been wanting to get into more. It's just the ROI is usually a little bit better. Less equipment, easier gigs than doing live sound. So I've been wanting to get into it a little bit more, and I spotted that Denon came out with this, and I thought, might as well give it a try. MAP pricing on it is $5.99, so it's at a good price point in comparison to some of the other lecterns out there. And one thing there's quite a few things I do like about it. Number one, it comes with a mic. I'm not going to say this is the greatest mic in the world, but it comes with a mic and it works quite well. It's got a windscreen on there. It's got a cough button, so if somebody's talking, they got a cough, they just hit the button right here. Mutes the microphone. There is a USB right here. The top is rubberized, which is nice, so it's not just hard plastic where you're going to put a laptop down and it's just going to slide around. It's got a rubberized top on it. It's got two holes here for the cords to go down through, and of course the great part about it is it does have a built-in speaker array. Now if you're on a stage or elevated, the speaker array is probably good. If you're at ground height with everybody else, the speaker array will work. It obviously shoots out and the audio spreads out, but the speakers, if you know anything about audio, everybody says, get the speakers above head height. And obviously this is below my belly button. So what I used for our groundbreaking was I have a TurboSound IP500. I've done a video on that. It's a great little speaker. I actually picked up a second one since I did the event with this, so now I've got two, and I set one off to the side and then used the built-in speaker on here. Before I go into more about the setup with the TurboSound, I'm just going to finish up talking about this. It does have a built-in speaker array. On the back here, it's got a mic volume knob and an aux input volume knob, because it does have two RCAs. So if you are doing video and you need audio as well, the audio can come right out of here. It does have two outlets down at the bottom as well, so you can plug your laptop in, so you don't have to worry about running out of battery power or just running another extension cord to this. It just takes standard IEC cord. And it also has another USB in the back. So it's got two USBs, two regular 110 outlets, RCA ins, and it does have an XLR output. Now I do kind of wish it had two XLR outs, because when you use two separate speakers, obviously it's a mono signal, you're not doing stereo. But if I use two IP500s, I got to link out to the one, then run a cord all the way back to the other to daisy chain. Two XLR outs would be kind of nice, just so I can split down and out. It does have a lot of hooks and stuff for wrapping your wires underneath as well to keep a nice clean setup, because that's what you're trying to do with corporate audio. Everything's got to look nice, neat, and clean. And they've done a really good job with this thing. Now, depending on the size of your event, if it's a small event, you could maybe get by with just using this. But it'd have to be a pretty small event. I wouldn't feel comfortable, without going out with one or two TurboSound IP500s. And partially because, with the speakers being right here, the mic being right here, if you try to push this too hard, it's going to feedback. And that's one of my gripes. I kind of wish, now, although I'm going to say, keep in mind, this is only $5.99. I'd rather pay $5.99 and have it the way it is than pay $11.99 and have all these upgrades that I'm going to be talking about. But a couple of notch filters I think would have been nice, or maybe just a little bit of internal processing, EQing maybe with this mic. There is no way to EQ this whatsoever. But whether it be pre-processed for use with this mic and have some of the high end that's going to feed back notched out, or just have a even Mackie speakers now have like 4 feedback filters built in, or if it senses feedback, it'll just go in and notch out the frequency. Something like that would have been nice. The other thing I will say that would be nice is an app, like maybe Bluetooth connectivity. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know I hate Bluetooth. But with this, if I'm running audio on something and I need the volume turned up and somebody's on stage speaking to 300 people, am I gonna just run on stage and grab the knob back here and start turning it up and adjusting the audio? No, it would be nice to have that wireless connectivity to raise and lower the volume of this, but that's also where the turbo sounds come in. So to make sure I'm not feeding back here, what I did at the groundbreaking was I kept the volume on the podium relatively low, just a little bit to fill in, right in front. And then, I went out to a Turbo Sound IP500, and on that, I had the volume a lot louder on that, because it's away from the podium. It's not going to feed back. It's not going to be as prone to feedback because of the distance away from the podium that it was. And that's really how I would run this. And then obviously, if you've got the 2 speakers off to the side, you can just go to the speakers and adjust the volume. But if you're just using the podium, you really have to talk to the person that's doing it and make sure they know not to bump the volume knob, not to crank it up really loud or kick it back too quiet. You definitely are leaving the person that's doing it in charge of the volume, because if you're just using this, there's nothing that you can do about the volume level unless you want to run out on stage in front of everyone. So comboing it with some external speakers, definitely the way to go. Set the volume on this to a low volume level and let the other speakers do the work. It does have a standard XLR in, so if you need to use a wireless mic, maybe if somebody wants to walk around with a handheld, you can do that. I did talk to somebody that was going to need they wanted a wireless headset for a little bit of wandering around, which maybe wouldn't even need to run through this, but it does give you the option to be able to plug in a different mic or buy a different aftermarket mic, maybe one that's not quite as prone to feedback. So Bluetooth connectivity would be nice, because I think like the Turbo Sound speakers, they've got an app that you can connect to it with Bluetooth, and I think you can EQ it and adjust the volume. Something like that would have been nice, mostly because there's no other option with this besides coming back here and turning the volume knob. So that's the one thing I do worry about with this, but as long as you bring external speakers, I think you'll be fine. I don't have enough events under my belt with this to say definitively that having volume control in the podium will not be a problem. I sure hope it's not, because that could get awful embarrassing. But I think as long as I talk to people and tell them, if you need your laptop louder, turn the second knob. If you need your voice louder, turn the first knob. And as long as people aren't super nervous and not, fiddling around too much, I think it'll be okay. Weight-wise, it's good and solid. I mean, it is plastic. A lot of the really expensive ones you see out there are wood, but this one's plastic. It's kind of a texturized plastic, so I don't think you're going to see scratches or anything develop on it. Being as it's black, it does pick up dirt more. Like I was doing a groundbreaking, so I can see, gravel, like dust on it and stuff from the previous event. So if you're doing corporate events, you'll want to bring some type of just wipes and give it a wipe down beforehand so it doesn't look dirty and nasty before the event. But that goes with most corporate things, I always wipe down speakers, make sure they're nice and clean, make sure the grills aren't dusty, because corporate audio is a different animal than your standard street dance or something. I haven't used a whole lot of other lecterns, so I can't definitively say this is the best one out there. I'm happy with the purchase. It's at the right price, and it is fairly easy to use. So I think if you're in the market for a lectern that maybe has a built-in speaker, I think this is the way to go, because it's got the mic, it's got, it's 90% of the way there as to what I would have it. And I feel like if the things that I want in this were to get put into it, it would add $200 or $300 to the price, and I wouldn't want to see that happen. I'm all about price to performance ratio, and this thing gets the job done. It's got a lot of nifty features built in. It does not come apart, so I mean this is what it is. If you're moving it around, the real threat is having it fall over, get dinged, smashed in the trailer. So you definitely got to take care of it, but that goes with any lectern. I don't know any of them that come apart. Would it be worth spending $500 or more to have a case made for this? Probably not, because you could just buy a new one a couple of years down the road. So for now, we just throw a moving blanket over it and call it a day. It would be handy if it came apart, but I feel like that would make it less sturdy, so it's probably good that it's not. The base is weighted pretty nicely, so I can move it around, but at the same time, I can lean on it with a lot of my body weight and not feel like the thing's going to fall apart. It definitely is sturdy. I don't think I have too much else to say about this thing. It'd be rated a buy in my book. I don't regret the purchase. I'm glad we have it. I hope we use it more. I would like to, do more corporate audio stuff, do more groundbreakings. We've done groundbreakings too, because sometimes you do a groundbreaking and there's no power, so we have used the Denon Envoy battery-powered speaker for some groundbreakings. And that would work too. You could bring this out and just use it as a lectern in that situation. Where you would put the mic, I don't know, you might have to have them hold the mic or bring an external mic stand, because it doesn't look like there would be any way. I mean, you could maybe do like a clamp mount, but that would maybe look a little messy in the front. The sides are tapered, so I don't know if you'd get a good clamp on the side. But that'd be something I'd have to look into, but would probably require a mic stand on the side with the mic there, maybe clamping it right here off to the side, kind of out of the way, and having a mic there. And then you could go, completely battery powered with it. If you have any questions about this, if I missed anything, I don't think I missed anything. But if you have any questions, throw them down in the comments section. If you know of a lectern around this price point that's better than this one, feel free to throw it out there. I looked over quite a few different lecterns, and a lot of them, heavy duty wood construction. They look really nice. Some of them do have built-in speakers. They get really expensive really fast. I mean, you can spend $2,000 on a lectern, and unless you're using it every weekend, for me, it's really hard to justify the cost. I mean, it's almost hard to justify having this here, because we've only done one event with it. So our hope is that we do more. Oh, I will say, the school that we did the groundbreaking at, they had a graduation coming up. Or actually, so it was more in the spring. Their high school graduation was coming up. and they were super impressed with just the audio quality. Now, keep in mind, I did have the Turbo Sound IP500, which that thing's, tiny, just a little stick. And we were outside, and I'd asked somebody to help me out, see if I help me with the volume levels, because I couldn't be out front hearing how loud it was. So I walked up to it and was adjusting it, and I just went check, check into the microphone. And everybody's eyes got really wide, like, where is that sound coming from? And 25% of it was probably coming from this, but 75% from just a single IP500. And if you had two IP500s, if you're just doing speech, I would think indoors, a high school graduation with maybe 500 people there, I feel like you could cover it no problem. If everybody's screaming and hooting and hollering, probably not. But when everybody's being quiet, like I feel like you could. I haven't used it in that situation, but that's the idea I've got in my head. But anyways, if you have any questions, throw them down in the comments section. Until next time.